you're like, you're not even saying hi or like, how are you? Like, how's my day?
I showed up early.
I know, first time.
You taught me before to be 30 minutes early, so I'm
Oh
taking
yeah.
this more seriously now.
Well, you should. Okay, Tyler, you should. I appreciate that. But we're actually gonna have a special guest in 2 weeks. What's the guy's name? Justin Colby.
Oh, Justin Colby's coming.
Justin Colby. He's not coming here personally, but we'll do a Zoom with Justin Colby so you guys can get a taste of what he has to offer. What does he have to offer? I haven't looked into him yet. Is he like a big fix and flipper?
Big fix and flipper. I think he's done over 2,000 fix and flips.
Damn.
And yeah, he's a big deal, a real deal.
Sounds like it. No wonder we had to pay a pretty penny for him. Just joking. We didn't pay that much. But I'm Josh, a.k.a. Lending Tips, a.k.a. Don't Buy Real Estate, a.k.a. It's Tuesday, Zoom call. And to my left, your right, is Michael Blair. Say what's up, Mike.
What's up, guys?
Mike has a team of how many agents now? 25, 22?
Just over 20.
Just over 20. So like what, 21 and a half? Or
Yeah, 21 and a half.
Did you fire someone?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Fired a couple.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Off with their heads. Hey,
We just have certain standards, right? So
We'll talk about
it is
that.
what it
We'll
is.
talk about that. Not today, but we'll talk about it at a different time. But Mike has a team of 20 and a half agents, 21 and a half agents here in San Diego. He also worked as like what did you do? Like a CFO type guy?
Yeah, I mean, my title was a COO, so Chief Operations Officer. I was called the integrator for another investment company. So I did that for about 3 years before I started running full time as an agent.
Nice. And Mike, if you guys don't know, you guys have probably heard his story, but he didn't start off as an agent, right?
No.
He was just a plug and play guy, spreadsheet guy. You tell people what to do, and then you jumped into the agent world.
Yeah, honestly, I had no interest in being an agent, and I'm still questioning that today.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
perfect. Me too.
At the end of the day, I mean, I got recruited into real estate, and I was a director of sales and operations, so I was focused on business development at the end of the day, which is what I really like to do. And ultimately, I spent 3 years on that real estate team, and it didn't pan out the way that we anticipated. The goal was to continue to elevate and own a brokerage and continue to grow, and we didn't go that path. And so after that is when I got my license, and then I was a COO for the investment company. So kind of did both those simultaneously.
Yeah, which leads me to the introduction of our podcast. I guess, is this a podcast, Tyler, or is this like a Zoom call? What do we call it now?
I mean, if it's gonna be a podcast, we gotta put it on like the official podcast platforms like Apple, Spotify, right, stuff like that. So I don't think we can call it a podcast just yet, but I mean,
That's true, right?
maybe that's the next step. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll talk with Jason about that. He'll probably want to negotiate that in his salary. So be careful what you add to his plate. But that leads us to our next topic and why I want Mike to kind of brainstorm lead generation. Mike and I are doing a lead generation, mostly Mike, a seminar type masterclass in March of this year in San Diego. So if you guys are in San Diego, DM me so I can get you some discount tickets. I think it's like $5, but we'll get you a promo code.
You guys getting paid for this?
Yeah. Someone has to pay for that venue, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen that meme before, but I like it. So if you're in San Diego, hit me up. I'll get you a free promo code. But today's topic is lead gen. So get some questions. We're going to just brainstorm through maybe 3 to 5 of them. I'll probably interrupt you 19,000 times.
Perfect.
But in terms of lead gen, most of these guys on here are agents, investors, wholesalers, maybe a couple lenders here and there. And then we have Tim Whitman, who is an IT guy. So he probably doesn't care about lead gen too much, but maybe he does. But what do you think lead gen is? Like, what are the steps to lead gen? It's not just cold calling, right?
No. I think the first step to lead gen is understanding what you like and what you don't like, and then what you're good at and maybe what you're not good at. And I like people to focus on their strengths. So for example, if you hate the phones and you're not good at talking to people over the phone, I would recommend you don't cold call because you don't like to do it. You're not good at it, and you're probably not going to be focused on getting better at it. And
Can I say that I did not like any of those things, but that's how I started? Is it good to just try it and then see?
It can be to get some repetitions in, and yet sometimes that is what increases the failure rate in real estate is you throw somebody on the deep end and they don't know how to swim, and so they ended up going to a different business.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so how do you find out your strength? Like as a new agent, everyone in here is probably under 40, I want to say, under 30 maybe even, some in the 20s.
That's good.
Like low 20s. Like how do you find your strength? Like I still don't know my strength in terms of lead gen.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's like mix and mingle with people, social media type stuff. But I don't really know what my strength is.
Yeah, and I think that would change over time. So in the beginning, I think it's important to identify what are you already good at or what do you already like doing. And so do you like talking to people face to face, right? That's maybe a question you could ask yourself. If the answer is yes to that question, then it opens up some lead gen strategies that have to do with face-to-face interaction, such as open houses, such as door knocking, such as networking, right? If you're like, I don't really like being face-to-face, I'd rather be in a cave by myself and just hit the phones.
That's Tim.
That's some people here, right? Maybe they prefer to just be on the phones on their own, doing their own thing, right? And then there's people in between that, or people that like different types of attention. So if you like attention on social media, then maybe you go social media route and you like creating content there. If you have a comedic personality and maybe you create content like Don't Buy Real Estate and you have entertainment kind of mixed into what you consider as lead generation, so that you do what you like to do and you enjoy it and it still is bringing that result.
Yeah. And what have you, so a brand new agent walks through the door, you give them 3 lead gen strategies. What are those top 3 that you give them?
Yeah, so there's about 15 lead generation strategies that we go over. Okay. I don't go over all of them. I typically will ask them, well, now that you're new into real estate, how do you predict you're going to create business, and how do you feel like you're going to generate business? Where do you feel like your first deal is going to come from? So I'm going to ask them some questions to get them thinking, and then build a lead gen system around some of their responses. So for example, if they say, well, you know, I actually know a lot of people, or I already participate in this networking thing, or I have a lot of past coworkers and I have a big community at church, right? We're going to lean into those responses and build lead gen strategies around that.
And that's more, people call it the sphere of influence, right?
Could be,
Is that your like low-hanging fruit as a new agent?
Sphere is somewhat low-hanging fruit, but also probably the most fruitful, right? A lot of deals come from your sphere, and more importantly, from referrals of your sphere. So if you can learn how to, what I call like taproot, if you can taproot your network to open up new networks or new opportunities and new contacts,
I've never heard
then
of
that's
that.
where the magic happens.
Sorry,
Most people don't know how I met Josh, but I met Josh taprooting through somebody else. So I met somebody also named Josh, and Josh and I had a lunch one day, and we had a conversation, and Josh introduced me to this Josh.
He was our notary. Right? He was a notary,
he's
a
notary
mutual
guy.
notary. Yeah.
So I went from his connection to you, and then we built a connection, and then we've done business together, right? So that's, if you're good at networking and you're good at looking for those opportunities and having those conversations, right? Well, who else do you know, right? Then you can open up new networks.
Okay. So you're tapping into your strengths, the people around you, and then taprooting. And in terms of the other ones, like door knocking, is that for everyone? Like, I don't think everyone should.
Not necessarily. Again,
is that lead gen?
It's a lead gen. If you make it lead gen, right? If you're door knocking and you're just putting a flyer on, you're not even knocking on the door, then you're just marketing. But if you're actually having conversations and you have metrics that you're tracking and you're moving in particular neighborhoods that you want to do more business in, then you're going to be more intentional about that lead generation.
Okay. And then when you are lead generating, when you're door knocking, you want to pick a certain area, or are you just kind of throwing them out in the wind? And
that's a good question. There's a couple different, I guess, scenarios that you should consider lead gen with door knocking. And so one of them could be around an open house. So if you're doing an invite to the open house, then door knocking is actually very effective because you're not really selling anything. You're actually just inviting somebody to come check out a new house in the neighborhood. And then you can also let them know that they hired you to sell that house. And so you could say a script like, you know, hey, Josh, not sure if you saw your neighbor John on 123 Main Street. Do you know John by any chance?
Yeah, I know John.
Okay, yeah. So John actually hired me and my team to be able to sell his house. Did you even know that house was on the market? Maybe yes, maybe no. Well, cool. Well, we're actually going to be doing an open house Saturday, Sunday from 12 to 4. And I actually just wanted to invite you as a neighbor to come check out the house. And it will give you an opportunity to maybe choose your next neighbor. Can I count on you to be there on Saturday from 12 to 4?
Yeah.
Right? And the reason why that works is because then you get exposure as an agent. And if they had thoughts about selling, you can ask that question. Have you ever had thoughts about selling your property? Or it sets you up for a future door knock. After you get this house sold or under contract, you can say, hey, you know, we actually had 20 people come to the open house. We had 10 offers on the property, and we did select an offer, so now we're in escrow. And Josh, by any chance, have you thought about selling your house? We still have buyers looking to to buy a house in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it gives you a reason to follow up and stay in touch with that pocket.
That's good. And so far, all these lead gen sources or opportunities are free, right?
Yeah.
Nothing really. I mean, you're printing out flyers, maybe.
Yeah. You could get a
cell
lender
phone bill.
partner or
Yeah.
somebody else to kind of come in on that stuff. And so, yeah, you can do this at very minimal cost.
Yeah.
It's just legwork at this point.
And then in terms of open houses, I think I was never a fan of open houses because you're sitting there. Maybe it was a slower time when I was younger. It wasn't as energetic as it is now, but you're sitting there waiting for someone to show up. You're doing the door knocks. People aren't showing up. There's 50 million houses for sale. Yours is just one of them. But now I think open houses are probably the best lead gen source out there for
I would
teams,
say so.
right?
Yeah, for us, it's one of our best lead generation sources, especially to get those initial clients. And then second, or kind of right up there with number one, is your sphere or your past clients, right? So you got to generate clients to be able to have past clients and referrals. And so the original lead gen from open houses is effective.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's huge. And then we've always talked about open houses and what to do, what not to do. I think one thing that we always kind of skip over is the conversation we have with the individual who comes to the open house after the fact, right? What's that follow-up cadence look like? It's still free, right? You still got their name, their contact information. You do a very good job of forcing that out of them naturally, right?
Yeah.
You don't even give them really a choice. Anytime I'm at an open house, you get the contact information.
Pretty much.
I don't know how, but you do. So what is that cadence after the fact?
Yeah, so the follow-up is really where the lead generation magic happens, right? And some people are really good and they can move somebody forward on the spot. I'm not that good, and so I rely on building a relationship first and rely on the follow-up. So again, there's kind of two different approaches there. But at the end of the day, it's what value do you bring to that particular person that walked into your open house? So the most powerful is the follow-up to lead somebody to a buyer's consultation. So in trainings, we talk a lot about booking appointments, and that's probably one of the number one skills you can develop is booking appointments and essentially selling time, right? Selling a block of time, because time is somebody's most precious asset. And so you have to convince somebody else why they should meet with you for 30 minutes or an hour over a consultation. Yeah. And so that's where the magic happens. And I'll give you an example. Chris on our team, he's a newer agent on our team, not necessarily newer to real estate, and yet he had an open house maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and a lot of people came to that open house. From the open house, he made contact with one of the buyers, and the open house took place on a Saturday and Sunday. On Tuesday, he did a buyer's consultation with that person, and by the following week, they were approved for a loan and they submitted an offer on a house. They didn't get that house. The following week, now they're in escrow on a new construction home, and the commission's 2%. And so where I'm getting at is
from an open house.
From an open house.
No.
And from that quick of a timeline. And
Yeah,
where I'm getting at, though, is the magic is in that follow-up, in that consultation, right? Because for us, we want to meet with that client, deliver value, build trust and rapport, answer all the questions that they have, educate them on the home buying process, on all the angles, right? New builds all the way to resale, and ultimately serve them to move them forward and have them partner up with our lender partners or whoever that else may be, and serve that client, right? And you can do that best from the consultation, in our opinion.
Cool. And if you guys have any questions, please raise your hand. We're here for you. So I know we're talking pretty fast. We could slow down as well. But I'm glad you brought up CJ. For everyone online, most people on here are from YouTube. I recognize the names: Prisma, Donovan, Nick B's in the house, Mr. Market. So you guys are all from YouTube. Chris Johnson is a YouTuber, not a YouTuber, but he was from YouTube. And he reached out to us and he said, hey, I'm in the real estate industry. I work for a wholesaler out here. Are you looking to invest in a property? So he connected through social media. And funny story is he sold me his first transaction 2 or 3 years ago. Fast forward, we still kept in touch, right? YouTube, this, that, social media. Now he's on your team.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my third lead source, or fourth one would be social media.
Yeah.
Now,
see, so that lead source, right? Like you were original lead source, and social media was your original lead source, and then that person came into your world, so he became your sphere, and I tapped into your sphere to get Chris onto my team.
Too confusing, bro.
Right?
Too confusing. And then you get paid somehow.
And I get paid, and
Get no commissions out of this. Anyways, social media. Let's talk about social media. We obviously all met through social media online.
Yeah.
Some of us have never met face to face. A lot of us have, but it's still powerful, right? It's not cold calling. It's not door knocking. It's not sphere in a way, but it's powerful. It's still a resource that all agents should tap into, and it's free.
Yeah.
Besides like camera work and editing and stuff like that, but you could.
I mean, with iPhone and CapCut, I mean, yeah, you could do whatever you want.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, do you recommend social media lead gen, and what does that look like? And before you answer, I've seen your social media kind of flourish over the last year, and you're doing a lot of things there with your direct message marketing campaign. And that could be for agent direct or buyer direct. But talk about that, because that's, I think, a low-hanging fruit that these guys aren't tapping into.
Yeah, I think social media serves a lot of different purposes. So one, if your friends and your sphere are on social media, then the more content that you put out there, the more that you expose them to what you do on a consistent basis, and they build trust with that, right? So for example, I post a lot of real estate stuff, and some people say, well, you should blend, personal stuff and real estate stuff and other stuff. And I do, and yet my channel is more real estate focused. And at the end of the day, when somebody thinks about real estate that is in my sphere, they see me over and over and over again. And so the trust is already there.
Yep.
So by the time they reach out or I reach out and we have a conversation around buying a house, there's no more trust building. The trust is already there. So social media can build trust with people that you already know and elevate that trust. It can also reach audiences of people that you don't know. So if the exposure of real estate into social media can be powerful as well, and it's shareable content. People, gravitate towards good content in general. So you build relationships and you get to create new relationships through social media. And then on the actual lead generation side, right? Because I think it can be split. Social media can be more for marketing and exposure, but if you have an intention of making it a lead generation focused activity, then you have to send DMs. You have to actually reach out and communicate with people and have conversations, not just get likes and get views, right? Because you don't get paid off of a view or a like, right? At least I'm not famous enough to. And so I have to turn that exposure into a conversation, into a consultation, into showing houses, and into moving forward and opening escrow and closing escrow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
I think it's Tuesday. I've already got in 3 loan leads from social media and 4 off-market deals, and then 3 realtors that want to connect and chat.
Yeah.
Just in 2 days from social media. And I had to be more deliberate on my approach, and it was the direct messaging campaign. I would say text messages and direct messaging, they're probably 100% open rate for the most part. Everyone, unless you're famous, everyone reads their text messages. Everyone reads their direct messages, unless it goes to spam or something. So it's 100% open rate on social media. And if you are posting actively, it just gives you that credibility, right?
Yeah.
So they get more energized to respond. And so for you guys, just know that you're going to get 100% open rate. You don't get that anywhere else. You can send 2 million mailers, right? And I would say 1% probably get to
it's 0.5% probably.
Yeah, 0.5%. But in social media land, you can DM people on Facebook, you can message people, you could leave comments. All those are 100% foolproof, right? They're seeing those comments, they're seeing that interaction, and eventually you're going to get a referral from that individual. You're going to get a lead from that person who's going to be wanting to close. Someone just DM'd me right here on the way to work here, and they're like, "Hey, my friend's moving from Nashville. Do you have an agent? Do you have a lender?" I'm like, "Yeah, duh. That's what I do." But it took me a year and a half of DMing this guy, not like just organically, right? Responding to his stories and just keeping in engagement. And that's one thing I want you guys to do. Don't just DM to DM. Be engaged. Like, people are trying to tell a story online. Be involved with their story. Have a relationship with them. Like I said, most of us have never met.
Yeah.
But yet we do business with each other. And we're going to make a lot of money together in this industry without even meeting. And we'll be referral partners, and we'll be friends outside of work, and we'll do Zoom calls, and we'll do master classes, all because we were engaging on social media. Don't be weird. Don't be creepy. just get in there, be a person.
Yeah.
They'll respond favorably.
For sure.
Don't worry how big, how small they are. Just start messaging people, and I think that's a easy way for you guys to start building more credibility in that space.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, find interest in what other people do or what other people are posting, and let them know that you're paying attention, right? People want to be shown love, and if they shoot a cool video, share that video or throw it on your stories or comment and let them know, hey, that was a cool video. Like, I'd love to see more of that video. What else do you want to see from me, right? Like, create that engagement and those conversations. And then when a real estate transaction or deal crosses their plate, like, you're the one that they think of because you show them love.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's exactly what happened today. It was, I'm sure this guy has 50,000 agents who follow him. He's a wholesaler, and he was like, hey, man, I love your content. Like, thanks for reaching out. Maybe we can jump on the call. I have a couple deals I can't get rid of. We can work something out. Yeah. So I had that conversation, and he's got 4 leads he's going to work numbers on for me.
There you go.
Just like that. So how does that convert for an individual who's a realtor or a lender? I mean, if you're a lender partner, you're looking for more realtors, right? You're kind of wanting to build your team up. So what's your direct message campaign to real estate agents?
So for me personally, to other real estate agents as an agent and a team leader is just a conversation around connecting with them, right? Trying to find a common interest or commonality and having that conversation. And the initial responses are different depending on what we want to do. But on some of the campaigns we've run, we would just ask a question, right? I would just reach out to a realtor like, hey, looks like you've been in the business for a while. How long have you been a real estate agent? Right? Like a simple question to get a response back. And some might say, oh, it's been 1 year. I'm brand new. It's been 10 years. Oh, awesome. Like, what do you feel like is your biggest challenge right now in today's market? Right? And now we just have a dialogue and a conversation, and we just go from there. Yeah, right? Awesome. And then if I see some kind of strength or an interest or a need that agent might need to be fulfilled, then maybe that's where I'm going to have like that conversation. Hey, you mentioned something in our conversation that caught my attention, that you had a new listing or you were looking for a new mentor or something like that. And then I'll have a conversation around, hey, man, maybe we should get together, and I'd love to learn more about your business and see if there's anything we could do to help you.
Yeah, that's cool. And then lastly, on the social media front, ads, right? I think everyone sees them for the most part, but not everyone creates them. You recently started running ads. I've been running ads for maybe 2-3 months. For me, it's kind of hit or miss depending on what I'm running the ad for. I think looking for an end buyer is a lot harder on the ad campaign side. I think maybe it's too saturated. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Looking for off-market deals has been pretty good. I think the click rate was like $50 a lead. Not too bad.
No, it's not bad.
But you do got to spend money. I mean, it's got to add up. So as a real estate agent on this call, what do you think the best call to action is on like an Instagram ad? Do you recommend ads? Do you go the free route? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, honestly, it depends on what your marketing plan is for your client. So I run ads primarily on listings, and that's because that conversation is had in the listing presentation, and we want to get the most exposure to that particular client's property. And so we're going to obviously do social media, but we're going to run some campaigns to increase that exposure and get more attention and eyeballs on their property, just like we promised. And so in some cases, that's $5 a day or $10 a day. And we typically target specific areas around that property. So for example, if there's a specific zip code they live in, I'm going to build a campaign targeting that zip code of ages 35 to 65 or certain age demographics, because those are potentially the buyers, right? Do we convert a lot from social media? I would say the answer is no, and yet we do get a lot of exposure.
From ads or social media?
From ads,
okay.
Yeah, from ads on social media. So we do get exposure, and that story does translate well to our clients when we can show them some of the results of how many people are looking at this house, how many people send us a like or a message or a comment, and it creates more opportunities for us to have conversations. And I wouldn't say it directly gets houses sold, but it helps us in the listing presentation stand out from other agents because I'm willing to invest in that additional exposure, and I know how to do it, right? So that's another thing, right? Show me somebody else's ad and I'll show you ours, and how are we getting 20,000 eyeballs on our ad for $5 a day? Yeah. Well, it's because of our following, but also because we know how to like structure the ad. Yeah. So that helps us secure that listing more so than anything else.
Yeah, and I think listing agents don't have that in their presentation at all, right? They don't want to make that commitment So this is a way for you to kind of stand out from the other agent. Talk about, we have one in Scripps Ranch right now, a listing. Big house, nice area.
Yeah.
You sent out a mailer, right? Just a generic, talk about the mailer, I guess, but it seemed pretty generic. And the guy reached out to you. So why even spend money on mailers if it's 0.5%?
Yeah.
Is it part of your campaign with the sellers? Do you see success with that? Is it just getting your face out there so they can connect the dots when you door knock, or what's your goal with the mailer?
Yeah, it's more to get more exposure for myself and for the listing at the end of the day. So this particular mailer we sent to the whole community. So he's probably spent a couple $100 sending a mailer to the community about a just listed campaign. We put a custom QR code on every piece of mail. So if somebody scans that QR code, I actually know which house scanned it. So that helps us track, okay, how many people are actually taking an action step from the mail. And, you know, in this particular case, they called me because they saw the mailer, but interestingly enough, it wasn't the first time they saw me, right? So when I went to their house, which was today, I noticed the cross streets that they were at. And the cross street that they're off of was where I put the most amount of signs. So I put 4 signs on every major corner. And so they saw my name multiple times coming in and out of their house from the open house. And so even though in their mind they might have only saw me once, they probably saw me online in an ad because I target that neighborhood. Right. They saw my open house signs, and then they saw a mailer, and then they called me. So,
and did you door knock them at all?
And
or no?
that house was beyond where we door knocked because it was maybe a mile or so from the other house.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit farther than what we door knocked, and yet they probably saw us multiple times.
Dots,
and so, you know, they saw I had an active listing, obviously. So by the time that person sees me 3 times, then they look me up and look my track record up, and then they see I have a listing in their same neighborhood. I already have immediate trust. And when I went to that listing appointment, they already know other agents, and they're like, we actually know 2 agents that specialize in this area. And they asked me directly, do you specialize in this area? And I told them that I didn't. And I told them that that's an advantage for you because I have clients and buyers all over San Diego County and Riverside County that would love a house like yours, and my reach is a lot further than the agent that just focuses on this zip code or this area. So while they may know this neighborhood like the back of their hand a little bit better, I actually have more exposure, more marketing, more agent count, more visibility because of my track record and how I do business. So I told them there's no right or wrong way to do business. I just choose the business that I want to build this way because I have move-up clients that might buy this house versus they might only have clients that are looking in this particular neighborhood.
Dude, that's awesome.
There's benefits, right, to how we market and our strategies.
Yeah, so it sounds like the mailer was a success in this case. That's pretty good. The listing's going to be, what, $3 million?
It's almost a $3 million listing, so
that's
I mean, again, it's
a mailer.
The thing that I think about is it's all of it, right? Like, did the mailer work? Maybe, and yet it was a combination of the open house, obviously getting that first listing, obviously them seeing us in the neighborhood, running an ad there. Like there's a lot of components that built trust with that person before he picked up the call because that person is very successful, right? He owns a $3 million house. They had a Ferrari in the garage, right? Like this is not some nobody. So he's intelligent enough to know, hey, if I'm seeing Mike multiple times, he probably knows what he's doing.
I don't know. He called you from a mailer. That's like old school. Like I haven't opened.
And he
mail.
wasn't super old. He's probably like in his 40s.
Like our age? That's weird.
Maybe a little bit older, but not much. Yeah, I mean, not much older.
Yeah, that's crazy. So we've talked about, I think, 6 or 7 lead sources. What do you think the best one is? Like again, conversion-wise, like numbers-wise, based on your life.
I mean, for me, it's been Sphere, right? But that's because I'm almost 40 years old. I've had 2 other businesses, and I've ran other companies before. So my network is maybe stronger than other people's network. Yeah. But if you don't have that, then your result of your Sphere might not be the same. So I have a different level of credibility coming into real estate than other people did. So for me, it's been Sphere. But most people that are on my team, when I ask them, where did your first transaction come from? Almost all of them was from an open house, mine included. Wow. So when I transitioned out of running a different real estate team and I transitioned into being an agent and then ultimately the CEO of that investment company, my first actual transaction came from an open house. So, you know, that's the best place that buyers are going.
That's interesting
for you to convert. And I knew how to convert.
No wonder you like open houses.
So I like open houses. Me, my top 4 agents, our first transaction all came from an open house.
Wow.
Chris included, right? We just went over Chris's story. His first transaction on this side of real estate is going to be from an open house.
Dang, that's good. So what's second? Well, so you say Sphere, open house, third, I guess.
For me, it's been kind of that Sphere combined with networking, right? Because like I wouldn't have met Josh if I didn't meet the other Josh networking. So for me, networking has been a good component. That's why I run a networking event once a month. I try to bring in as many people. We have 80 to 100 people show up there. So it gives me an opportunity to meet a bunch of new people all the time.
Yeah.
So networking has been really good. And then open houses. I still conduct open houses as well. If I need to stir it up or if I need to do more training or I need to build a bigger pipeline, open houses for me, I'm just really good at it. And so I'll just go back and do an open house if I need to stir up more business.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up networking. We didn't touch too much on it. I used to hate networking. I still kind of do, and for different reasons, right? I'm not like a celebrity, but I get views, and people see me out, and they talk to me, and I don't get to network as much, right?
Yeah.
It's more the work than the net part for me. But I still enjoy going to the events, meeting new people, handshakes, whatever, and then people connect the dots with social media.
Yeah.
What is your advice for why should a realtor go to a networking event?
Yeah, I think networking is powerful for generating connections, learning how to talk to people, also for getting out of your comfort zone. You know, most people don't really believe me, but I'm more naturally an introvert, right? So some people, they don't see me during the week or during the day, but there is sometimes like I'm just in the office for like 6 or 8 hours straight by myself. Like I'm okay working by myself. So sometimes networking is getting out of your comfort zone. But for me, because I am naturally more introverted, then I just have a formula and intention around networking. So I use the acronym called FORM, or FORD if you guys have heard of that. FORM is a conversational starter. So it stands for family, occupation, recreation, and message. So whenever I'm talking to somebody or I meet somebody, I'll ask them, hey, where are you from? Or, hey, is your family here? Are you from San Diego? And then I'll ask them about work. What do you do for work as your occupation?
Damn, you're scripted that bad. Like, that's crazy.
I'm introverted.
I'm freelancing.
Yeah,
I'm going in there like, who wants to talk? What do you want to talk about? Oh, you're boring. Off to the next.
And that's the difference, right? I'm intentional about it. Yeah. And so that becomes a lead for me because I follow a format, right? Just like I follow a script at an open house. At networking, I kind of follow a script, right? I know about their family, occupation, what they do for fun, and I leave them with some kind of message, either real estate related or money related.
And you're getting contact information, Instagrams, everything. Yeah.
Because I try to find common interests, right? In their family or where they're from, in their occupation, in what they do for fun, and then in what kind of messaging I want to leave them with. But what the secret is, I don't really share with a lot of people, is that I look for another acronym, which is called a sign. So I look for signs when I'm talking to people. And sign for me stands for strengths, interests, goals, or needs. So if I can pinpoint something about that person that is a strength, that is an interest, that is a goal or a need, and I can fulfill that thing, then that person is going to love me and connect with me. So for example, if I'm networking at a real estate event, we're all agents there, but I'm looking for some kind of strength or interest or goal or need. So if the strength is, man, this person is really good at talking, you're really good at connecting people, when I follow up with that person, I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, Josh, it was great to meet you yesterday. Man, I noticed you were just really good at connecting with people. I'd love to learn more about what you're doing with that and how you're building your business. Why don't we get together for coffee or lunch sometime? And I'd love to pick your brain and get to know you a little bit better. Yeah. Because I lead with that strength, right? At the same time, if I'm recruiting an agent, I'm looking for a need, right? So on the back end, I'm having a conversation with an agent that I meet networking, and I'll ask them, are you on track to hit your goal this year? And most of the time, the answer is no, right? Well, like, what does your business plan look like? Maybe I can help you with that. And I know most of the time they don't have a business plan. And so then when I follow up with that agent, I'll reach out to him and say, hey, Josh, it was great to meet you at the event yesterday. I noticed that you had big goals, big dreams. I admire that a lot. And you didn't really have a plan to be able to execute on that. And that's actually what I specialize in. Why don't we get together for lunch sometime and I'll share you a couple tools that we're using with our team to help them get to their goals. Nice. Like you're going to meet with me every time if I know that need. Yeah. Right. So I'm always looking for those signs.
Yeah. I'm just, I guess, a horrible person. I don't pay attention to any of that stuff.
Yeah. We're different. Yeah. Because I use it as a lead gen source.
Yeah. Yeah. So do I. I mean, I go for a reason, right? I don't just go to go. But I don't make it as intentional as that, right? Yeah. I'm there to meet as many people as possible. and I cast a wider net.
Yeah,
maybe.
and they go into your funnel, right? If they
Yeah.
follow you on social media, and you'll
Yeah.
capture them there. So again, there's no right or wrong, right?
Well, it sounds like I'm completely wrong. It sounds
I
like
mean, it's working for you though that you're building that.
Yeah,
networking,
it sounds like
so.
I need to be more intentional with the sign. Did you get that, Tim? Yeah, strengths, interests, goals, and needs. Are we gonna you copyright that or what? Trademark?
I learned it
No.
from somebody else, so you
Okay,
can
good.
steal it.
We are. We're about to post on the
Yeah.
course. No, that's good stuff. Be intentional with the kind of networking events. I've met a handful of investors at networking events, real estate agents. They send me deals still to this day. You have Margarita Mingle, right? What else do you have? Is that it?
That's
for
the
now?
main one. We do
Okay.
it once a month.
Nice. And so that he does that once a month in PB, probably the worst spot for networking because
And 80 people still come because there's no parking.
No parking. It's alcohol. It's like a bunch of 20-year-olds after a certain point.
Yeah.
And you're like, what am I doing here? Like, get me out of here. But people still show up, 80 to 100 people, and it's all real estate centric. There's some photographers and stuff
There's
like
some
that.
random people, random business
Yeah.
owners. But what's interesting about like that particular event is most people wouldn't know, but there's probably at least 5 to 10 millionaires that come there.
Hmm.
So if you don't get to know them, they just look like average Joe. Some of
Yeah.
them are in their 20s or early 30s, and they just look like normal people.
Yeah, I met a big builder there last time. I forgot his name
Yeah,
already.
there's a bunch,
I
so.
wasn't paying attention. But there was like a big builder, and he was talking. I was like, man, I've seen this guy before on social media, and I looked him up, and he's huge. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's crazy that he was just standing there by himself,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
and then talking to me. But yeah, those are kind of the lead sources, lead gens that we wanted to talk about and touch base with. I want to open up for questions and statements to you guys. I want to know what your favorite lead gen is, or what you've seen the most success in. So, anybody, maybe Nick B. What's your best lead source? Lead gen strategy. Nobody. Nick, are you there? Nick's not even paying attention. Where's Xavier? Oh, there he is.
I couldn't get my mic unmuted.
Oh.
Probably the best thing for me right now has been YouTube. YouTube it took a lot of like front end work, but
You have a YouTube?
yes, sir.
Where is it? I've seen your videos, but I don't think I've seen them on YouTube. I gotta. Am I a follower? Sorry, dude. What is it? What's the channel so we can get a free plug?
It's if you just go on YouTube, search my channel is youtube.com/nickbowen.dc.
Dang, bro.
One Ventura County realtor according to my mother and Nicole. So
There you go. Nick Bowen. And then what do you do on YouTube?
on YouTube, I do a lot of new construction.
Oh, here he is. I like it.
Tours, things of that nature. Done a couple of like neighborhood tours. Getting ready to do more kind of like of the talking head style videos, market updates, things of that nature. Just to flesh out the rest of it.
Nice. You're actually getting some decent. You get better views than me. That's crazy.
Good job.
The poster child of following the blueprint YouTube strategy we have to a T. Like he's the guy that's like probably followed it as best as anyone ever has, and like finally it's starting to pay off, baby. That's what happens.
That's crazy. Good.
100%. Fun fact, my average right now is about 6 hours of watch time per day, which is solid because all of those videos are geared towards.
Homeowners. Yeah.
Yeah, local homeowners probably.
Yeah.
I've gotten both sides of business out of it too. So it's oddly enough. If you're tracking it. Yeah, currently probably like 3 to 4 weeks per month. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not like not yet. I think you will. Yeah, I think you're okay now. That really do take a while to. I think I just think I'll do it first. And I mean, consistently for you once a week, take it at the time. But if you got a year
got to put the lean into that, put the pedal to the metal on it.
Yeah, make sure you guys click that link in the chat box there. Subscribe to his channel. So you're on the spot here. So a lead watches your video, or someone watches your video. How do they get in contact with you? Do you have a link or?
I have in the video that they call to action to call it email and all the verbiage.
I later kind of switched towards directing people to just send an email because that's how most people were getting in contact with me anyways, off of those, and it seemed to just make it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Give people one spot to go, and it seems like that's been a little easier for people, but I still keep all my contact info in the description and everything else so people can get in touch with me.
So. And then in terms of cost, what does this cost you?
It currently costs me
on my iPhone, I have a DJI gimbal, so there was some upfront cost on that. I think it was a couple $100. I edit them myself on iMovie, and I make all the little pop-ups and overlays on Canva. So all of that's pretty much free. It just just the time cost.
Yeah, Canva and the gimbal. And how much time do you spend? You person maybe 6 hours a week? Sounds like. Maybe less.
Content. So I've gotten the home walkthroughs down to a science. So it takes me 10 minutes to actually film the content there. The editing portion takes me maybe 45 minutes to an hour per video. So yeah, on a per video basis, it's maybe an hour and a half to be conservative.
So an hour and a half a week, and you're getting 3 leads. That's pretty good. I mean, that's not bad. 3 to 4 leads, and then eventually there'll be 5 to 10 leads. And what's crazy?
These are insanely high quality leads. Like the conversion rate is as high as I think any possible lead source you can have, like well into the double digits. Like if you have 4 reach out, you could have 2 to 3 closings out of that.
That's amazing. And how come everyone else does it?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question for anyone not doing it. Anyone want to answer that?
I mean, it sounds like it takes an hour of the week.
Well, I feel like Nick might be more talented than the average person.
I don't know. Nick,
Editing a video and stuff.
Can we pop up his video? I don't know.
People are not as comfortable or good
Is
at
it that good? I mean, it sounds like it's like.
at this point I have to
An hour and a half per video. In the beginning, it wasn't like that at all because I wasn't comfortable on camera, and like it was, it would take me multiple tries to get something done. But then I kind of figured out to just keep one long shot through the whole thing. Doesn't matter if I screw up, just restart because it's way easier on the editing side. So in the beginning, dude, maybe 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours into one video.
That makes sense.
And
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see myself editing 3 hours in and giving up, and only doing it once. So that probably is the issue. There's a learning curve, right? And I think there's a learning curve to everything. It's not just videos, but you want to limit the learning curve and get the highest producing version. So Tyler's saying this thing's going to convert at 50%. Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
they're high quality contacts. Usually it's almost writing you an email like they're giving you
To their situation, and I'm sure Nick could speak to this, but I'm just speaking from ones I've personally seen. Like people tell you like, hey, yeah, we're actually going to be moving here by this timeline. And it's funny because people literally ask, like, it's not uncommon that they'll ask like, hey, do you think you could help us with that, or would it be okay if you're our realtor? Like people literally ask you those questions, and I don't hear that like from other lead sources. It's just a different quality, like when someone's already been consuming your content up to that point.
Yeah. I'm getting hung up on when I cold call. When I door knock, they're slamming doors in my face. Open houses, they don't want me to take their information down. Maybe I'm just not as.
YouTube, man.
Yeah, I think YouTube's the way to go. I think I'm going to start filming YouTube videos like my vlog.
Kind of what like drove me towards it in the beginning because I tried my hand at cold calling, like totally cold leads, and it's rough. It's doable, but it's rough. Yeah. And so there's, I've tried my hand at door knocking. I've tried everything, and it was like, okay, here's this thing where if I could get over the discomfort of filming myself, I can put myself in front of a ton of people, instead of, having to go through the discomfort each and every door I'm going up to or each and every cold call I'm making. So it kind of, I don't know, worked a little bit for me.
And it's forever. Like that video stays on there forever. You never know when the algorithm shifts or changes or your area becomes popular or whatever the case. I had a video we did almost 8 months ago. It didn't get that many views, and now it's over 1 million views. Okay. Because of something that happened in the news or the media or the algorithm that just kicked it to the top of the list. So the key thing there with social media, Nick, is that thing's there forever. I know you spent an hour, but that's seconds, milliseconds in the grand scheme of things. So good work with that. Heck yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if every video gets more watch time than the time it took me to put in, then, there's a net positive.
Well, guess what? I'm a subscriber, and I know I got at least one person subscribed. But you're going to double that, okay?
You're going to go crazy this week.
Asterisks on that. I know what they tomorrow for sure. All right, we have about 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes. Anyone else have any topics they want to cover in terms of lead gen? Prisma's in here. Prisma, you got kids screaming in the background or what?
I did, yeah. They kind of calmed down now.
You reached out to me, I don't know, maybe a month ago, and you were looking for lists of people to call.
Right.
Is that your lead gen strategy, or were you doing that for more an investor? Or what was your purpose behind that?
I mean, I want to start cold calling and get good at it just because it's easier to do it. I'm here at home. But funny enough, my main lead source when I was doing it consistently was the squeeze pages on Facebook. I would get like 14 leads a week off of that.
What's a squeeze page?
You could do it out of your KV Core CRM. It's basically showcasing a property, and it's usually.
Yeah, this is another play out of the blueprint, and honestly, most people sleep on this one. So I'm actually really stoked to hear that that's been your biggest lead source. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I need to get back on that. It was almost overwhelming how many leads I would get, and actually I need to go through that and organize it. But yeah, that was my main one. And then I was asking about the list because I mean I don't like to cold call. I want to learn how to like it though.
I don't know if you ever learned to like it.
When you get a big paycheck, you'll love it more.
Yeah.
Paycheck do help. But I guess it brings up Mike's point, right? You got to find out what you like to do. It sounds like you shouldn't even waste your time with cold calling. If your squeeze pages,
You'd be warm calling.
Yeah, that's a. Why would you stop doing that? You need to get back on that and teach me how to do that. I would love to be floating in leads right now.
Yeah, honestly, if you can generate 14 leads a day, I mean that stacks upon each other, right? And then by tomorrow you're following up with 28 leads, and by a week from now you're calling 100 leads and then 1,000 leads, right? You'll never run out of leads to call if you can generate 14 leads a day. And then they're all warm leads versus cold leads. So I would double down on that if it's consistent. And I mean, you're just talking to warm leads with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, I'll get back on that.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for sharing. That was very insightful.
Of course.
Lead pages. Tyler, you got to show me that playbook. Let's start one tomorrow.
And I mean, her first video was on freaking point. It's like to the T. Like, hey, yeah, that's exactly what it should be. So I'm excited to see that's going to be a new lead source here in the months ahead for you if you keep that up.
Nice. What's your YouTube channel?
It's just Prisma Garcia San Diego.
Do we have to spell it like you made it sound?
Here. Yeah.
I found it. I'll drop it.
So I'll get you one more subscriber.
Thank you.
I'll watch your video.
Oh, there we go.
That's awesome. Yeah, keep up the good work. I think YouTube's an easy easy one for people to do with their cell phones. I like to go live. I don't know if you guys remember the days when I would go live every single day. I think it was COVID days. We would cold call live on YouTube. We would have like a party basically. 1,000 people would be on there watching me get hung up on. Most importantly, they would see me learn what to say, what not to say, and go that route. But yeah, YouTube is a super good resource. You just gotta do it. Yeah. All right, who else we got? Can't even see. My eyes get like blurry after 6 o'clock. Oh, it's only 5. Oh, there we go. Thank you, sir. I think that's it. X petting his dog still, or do you fall asleep? X there? No. All right. Was there? Gone. All right. Any other questions, concerns? We're right on time. Anything you guys want to talk about? Anybody? No one wants to spill their secret sauce? What's your best secret sauce that we didn't talk about? We won't steal it from you. I guess not. All right. Go ahead. All right. Here we go.
Real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Dude, if I'm just gonna make this really dramatic, okay? If you were held at gunpoint right now, like gun to your head, and you had to get a listing within the next 7 days, what's your move?
Ooh, that's a good
7 days? Give them like, that's
7
easy.
days is tough. Man, given the time, I mean, I would try to focus on probably booking an open house and leveraging that open house to penetrate that neighborhood. So if I only had 7 days, then I would just try to create as much leverage as I could. I'm not a big cold caller. Otherwise, I would probably go after like some kind of distressed list of highly motivated sellers, like notice of default or notice of trustee sale or notice of death affidavit and things like that. And I might go that approach if I only had 7 days. I would probably door knock those ones on the list versus cold call them because that will, get you in front of that person potentially. But if not, I would go open houses. I would book an open house for Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday through Friday, I would do a lot of outreach around the open house. So I would door knock, I would invite, I would probably run an ad, I would probably cold call that open house to try to stir up other potential sellers by leading the conversation with that. Hey, we're going to get a lot of exposure on this house. We're getting a lot of buyers coming in through the house, and there's going to be other buyers that unfortunately didn't buy that particular house. Seller, by any chance, have you ever thought about selling your house? Or I would use that kind of script, or I would have a conversation, depending on the neighborhood, and I would ask them something around, it looks like you have a great home here in a great neighborhood. Would you consider this your forever home? Or if you had the perfect opportunity to find your forever home, would you consider that now? And I would attempt to try to move somebody forward with a listing appointment, come back with a market analysis, and then come back with trying to secure that listing.
Your presentation would be like, hey, I only got 7 days. Please.
Yeah.
How much money is in the
That was incredible. Well, let me just say, dude, that was incredible, and you're a killer, Mike. Because like in one of the craziest situations, you just came up with a strategic approach on exactly what you would do. You didn't hit fire at all. So, dude, my hat is off to you.
That was actually too intense. Like, I've never seen Mike talk that fast. Like,
I was ready.
Are you a method actor?
No, actually.
So random question. But if you had money, I think you would buy the leads, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you had money, then you could create more leverage at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So you could buy these lists, you could,
Cold
pay for a
caller.
cold caller.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I would focus on going on appointments, right? So my only focus would be getting booked appointments, whether that was a listing or buyers or whatever the case is. I mean, that would be the intention. So I would just try to stack that with whatever lead sources you could, right? I would take Christmas method and get 14 leads a day, have somebody else call those, and I would just be on the road and have somebody book me the next appointment, and I would just go appointment to appointment until I close the deal.
All right, good question. I like it. Good answer. All right, anyone else?
Give me some more of those. Those are good.
We'll post the recap video probably later tonight or tomorrow. It'll be on the school course, so sign up there. If you guys have any deals, off-market deals, send them our way. Buyers who need to get pre-qualified, send them our way. We'd love to help you and your clients out. What else?
I mean, I like the question. I don't know who asked that question. I didn't see who asked it. I think that allows us, and maybe if all of you guys watching, to think about other solutions, right? If you were in that scenario,
what would you do? And maybe you should put yourself in that scenario and take massive, quicker action. At the same time, there's a lot of different answers now that like I'm thinking about that question that you could implement other approaches, right? I could call every investor that has an active listing, or every investor that is in San Diego or any market that you're in, and do a listing for $500 or offer a listing for $1,000. Like I would get a listing, right? Like if we're just talking about getting a listing, I would get that listing. I would say, hey, I'll do my full marketing plan. I'll do that listing for free or for $1,000 to cover my expenses. And in return, if we sell that listing above your list price that you are looking for, then you give me the next listing at full commission.
Yeah, that's an even better one.
So then like now rapid fire, like these thought processes in your guys' head, based on your experience, what would you do in 7 days or in 10 days if you absolutely had to close the deal or you were going to get out of the business? And if you treat it every day like that, which some of us run around with our head cut off a little bit like that, that's how we stir up so many deals. And so put yourself into that position to be able to create urgency for yourself.
Start charging for this, bro. All right. On that note, we'll see you guys next week, right? Jason, next week? Next week? Sure. What's next week? Next week, Dallas. Are we here? We leave Wednesday. I leave Wednesday. Yeah. I leave Wednesday too. Yeah, we're on for next week. Maybe we'll do it in Dallas.
Yeah.
Are you going, Tyler?
Don't think I'm gonna be making it, no.
I'll come visit you. Maybe the barbecue. I was gonna go to a Mavericks game, but they traded Luka, and then Anthony Davis got hurt. I'm like, I'm not gonna spend $600 on a Mavericks game. I can't even name. There's Kyrie. Go watch Kyrie. That's not as fun. That's a squad. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys.